excited about today, of course, is we're introducing Pierre and his company called Super HR. And Pierre, we'd love to hear more about who is Super HR and
Super HR.
what your story is.
What our story is. Well, sure. So give a little background. I've been working in management consulting for going on 30 years now. Yeah, it's been quite a while, and I did a lot of work outside of Canada, and returned about 8 years ago. So when I came back, I started working in doing management consulting, but a lot of it in the HR space, working with small businesses. I actually started working with CFIB at the time, um, and that really connected me with the small business community, especially here in the Lower Mainland. And so having that, one of the topics that just kept coming up in conversation was we're having HR issues, or we have an employee who walked out, and we don't really know how to deal with this, or we have someone coming in but they never come in on time, and small businesses typically don't have kind of that HR support. So anyway, I noticed there was a gap in that, and working in the HR space myself. I've run teams of 150 people of over 35 nationalities at any given time. I realized that there was a lot of value, or let's just say there was a need to deal or help small employers, organizations in that field or in that space. So Super HR, I mean, this has been kind of a work in progress. We are a small business. We're located here in the Lower Mainland. My partner Luis and I, we've known each other for many years. We've worked together on different projects for many years together, and over time we've always said, you know what, we should start our own company. I think we can really bring something unique to the table, something that is very bespoke, something that we can help with the day-to-day operational side of HR for small businesses, but also we can help them in their planning and their strategy and where they want to take their companies. We see a lot of issues with, we have a large percentage, if I think it's about 55% of our workforce is migrant. So, with an immigrant workforce, how are people playing in the sandbox, and does management understand what their employees are thinking, and how they're new to Canada, new to a different culture and such. So we work with them in a lot of these kind of projects and such, right? But that's kind of the backstory was or has been that seeing the need and having worked with in other countries as well, so really understanding that what people from elsewhere kind of go through, and then seeing the need here of small businesses having to deal with that day-to-day stuff without having a full-on HR department. That was the inspiration for Super HR, and we're very excited to be working with local businesses. Yeah.
So very, very similar story to a lot of our entrepreneurs. They see a need and see that they've got the skill set to kind of fill that need and carry on from there. Obviously, desire. Why start your own business? Just out of curiosity. This is a question a lot of entrepreneurs. I love asking them because everybody's got a
Oh,
different reason.
everyone has a different reason. I think for me, one of probably the main reason, and I've worked for other companies as well, obviously, during my time. Uh, a lot of times clients will come to me and they'll say, hey, can you help me with this specific situation? And because of the constraints uh, of of the company, and that could be because of their business model, or because of it's like, no, we can't do that. We only focus on this. This is the only thing that we do, or no, we'd have to refer you to someone else for that, which I did for many years. But as I kept seeing this more and more, and I just felt, you know what, we could be doing this, but the company, it wasn't in the business model, right? So that was probably the main reason. It's like, here I have a client. here's someone who has a small business who is really struggling with, and it could be onboarding issues, it could be finding the right talent, it could be retention, the churn. Oh my gosh, how do, I just can't keep people in the door, and I need help in building and creating the culture that I need in my company. I want to attract. How do I attract? Seeing that and wanting to be able to help, but being confined or constrained by, oh, the company won't do this, or whatever the situation. I just felt that, there's so much more that I could do to really help people out in these situations. So that was really the main that was the main point of starting Super HR. Back to what I said earlier, it's about tailoring bespoke. What do you need? What are your pain points? How can I help you resolve these things? Right.
Yeah.
And going above and beyond. Right. So
And that's interesting because for all the different reasons that people may or may not start a business, well, that seems to be one of the underlying themes is the desire to help, the desire to, kind of do things better or, figure out why it is that, others are struggling and how can I help, solve that. So you talk about pain points. What are some of the pain points specifically? Like why would local businesses want to work with an HR department? I mean, typically owners are doing their own HR, or they have maybe they have a manager who's, doing HR in addition to their other duties as well.
And that's exactly what happens, right? I think most entrepreneurs, when they're starting up, HR is it's not even on the map. It's like, what? Why? Like, we have one employee, or we have 5 employees or something. Typically, by the time you're getting to that 8, 9, 10, you're thinking, you know what? Yeah, we're starting to have some issues here. There's things coming up. Not really sure how to deal with it. So you're running your Google. And I'm sure this has happened to you, or you spend 4 hours Googling and you find something that seems to fit, and you're like, wow, this is exactly what I was looking for. And then, at page 23 in the small print said, this is valid for the state of Florida. And you're like, oh, back to the drawing board, right? I think a lot of times that's where also, say they'll either, if it's not the owner himself or the entrepreneur himself, they might have like an office manager. So they'll kind of task them with that. Well, here's the new hat, right? So they're wearing multiple hats. They've got 4 or 5 different responsibilities on their shoulders. Why would a company work with us? Is a lot of times they think they've got it down, and all of a sudden something pops up and it's like, oh, well, that didn't work out too well, or for example, the other day someone asked me, they said, well, if I have a part-time employee, do I still need to pay them their vacation time? Yes. And they were like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought part-timers didn't get paid vacation. Oh, they still do. I mean, it's based on the amount of hours that they work, and this and the other. But yes, they do. Or another one that we constantly get questions on, and this is 2 years in, paid sick days, right? Well, so what happens? I scheduled an employee in for Saturday. He's only going to work 2 hours on Saturday, but then he called in sick. So do I just pay the sick day the 2 hours? Do I have to pay the full day? And like, no, yeah, you have to pay the full day. And they're shocked and surprised, but they only work. I would only have paid them 2 hours of work. Yes, but legislation states that this is how it goes down. So a lot of times, companies run into they run into problems, or well, another one that I've seen where a company, a small business, say, acquires another one. Or let's say someone who says, you know what, I'm not going to start my own business, but I'll buy one that is up for sale, right? That's another typical thing that we see. So they buy a small company, maybe 5, 6 employees, and they're really happy. But anytime there's a change in management, there's always going to be friction. There's going to be, well, this is how we used to do it. Why do we have to do it this way? Or, some people are super excited about it. Usually, though, you're going to have someone that, this isn't really working. So you're thinking, you know what, this person, maybe we should just let them go, and then you find out that you're on the hook for 20 years of that person working with that company, as far as entitlements goes,
Yeah.
And you're like, what? I didn't know that. How can I be responsible for this, right? They used to work for the other company. Well, that should have been something that was in when you the contractual agreement when you bought the company. that should have been something that was in there. And so many times I see that this is something that's completely forgotten. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, so I'm on the hook for 20 years. Well, the employment standard says I only have to pay them 8 weeks. Well, it turns out there was never a contract. So now we're looking at common law.
Right.
Common law entitlements can be 3 to 4 weeks per year. So you could be looking at 2 years.
So that's an excellent, point there. We talk about pain points and the things, some of it, like we've been hired and maybe, even right from a very young age, we've been hired under certain practices and certain standards that we thought were, the norm, right? We thought that that's how you did things. And now, okay, well, I'm going to start my own business. And now you find out there's actually, whether sometimes you find out, when once you get in trouble. But other times, hopefully you find out kind of before there's an issue. So obviously one of those pain points is understanding what the rules and regulations are. So that's something that our group can reach out to Super HR about.
Absolutely. We're always there to, give a helping hand if you have questions. Hey, I'm wondering about because I think last year there was like 20 some changes to employment regulations here in BC.
Yeah.
Minute one, small one, some were larger, right? Like the Pay Equity Act that came into play. So now we need to, and still a lot of employers have no idea about this. But when you're putting an ad out, saying, hey, we're looking for, we're offering work, we actually need to put a pay range in. We can't just say, pay commensurate experience anymore. And we're going to have to start reporting this to the Pay Equity Office, right? We can't ask, well, so how much did you make at your last job? That is now a big no-no. So we encourage people, be proactive. If you have a question, if you've seen something, or you're just curious, reach out. We're always going to be there to, give you some perspective on things. We're here to provide guidance and to help employers make better informed decisions.
Awesome. So Pierre from Super HR has joined our group now as one of our experts. So under our Ask the Expert series, Pierre is going to continue to contribute more to that as well too. Some more information, and of course down below you'll be able to see where you can contact them, be able to reach out directly to Super HR and ask your questions. So Pierre, thank you very much for this intro. A local BC business, so that's another plus for our group as well too. So we look forward to having more sessions with you.
Absolutely, it would be my pleasure.